Yeah, Julius Randle's having a really good game. I really did come in here ready to slander him. It's really, it's almost not his fault. Julius Randle, oh, he just lost a shoe right there. Here we go. uh, it's really not his fault, the trade and like the way things have played out, because I just like everyone said it when the trade happened. He's just not. I don't think he's a good fit in Minnesota. Like I just don't think he fits there that well, and so it's almost unfair to him the amount of heat he's been taking. But at the same time, his effort on defense has been bad, so I understand that. But I mean, there's only so much you can do when the fit is this bad. Like him and Rudy Gobert are not a match in the front court. I just don't see it. You look at the fact that again, they don't have like other shooters on the floor. Mike Conley's not having a good year. Anthony Edwards is having a great year from three, but then you have McDaniels out there, and it's just you got no spacing. You got no spacing. It reminds me of like the Cavs almost, in years past. Cat was a major loss. Yeah. No, I think what we've seen this year is that Cat is a lot better than a lot of people gave him credit for. Cat took a lot of heat for most of his career in Minnesota. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure he's going to take more heat at some point in New York. The playoffs could change the narrative here, depending on like how much he's targeted defensively. But I mean, he's clearly a tier above Julius Randle, in my opinion. And I think when the trade happened, there was a little bit of a back and forth as to like, are you upgrading by getting Julius Randle? Maybe, maybe not. Karl Anthony Towns is definitely ahead of Julius Randle. Stuff that wasn't about his game. Yeah, that too. There's a lot of just like making fun of him for the way he talks, the way he like carries himself, just silly stuff. Let's see if this fan can hit a buzzer beater. He came close on a couple of those shots. For the zesty stuff. Yeah, Karl Anthony Towns took a lot of unfair heat, and so I do like that. He's really turning the narrative around in New York. He's having a great year. Cool guy. Well, this is a question for the entire chat, but I'm asking Cool Guy this since he's not a Cavs fan. I'm interested to hear. Right now, who do you think is a better player, Evan Mobley or Karl Anthony Towns? I would like to hear your take on this, and anyone in the chat can chime in too. The reason that this conversation started is because I was just trying to think, just speaking of big men in the Eastern Conference, I would say Giannis is number one, Embiid is number two. Just this season, by the way. I'm not projecting forward or anything like that, just this season. And I know Embiid's been injured and everything, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Giannis is number one, Embiid's number two. Who's number three? Who's the third best big in the Eastern Conference? Is it Cat? Okay, so Cool Guy says Cat. I agree. I actually agree. I would put Cat third, and then I think I would put Mobley fourth. I don't know if anyone else would surpass Mobley. Maybe I'm forgetting someone. No, I'm agreeing with you, Cool Guy. I would put Cat third. Is anyone else ahead of Mobley for fourth? Jackson runs the Fear the Sword account there. Jackson has Mobley ahead of Cat, and I could see the argument just because he's so good defensively. Like the discussion here is all right. Cat is amazing on offense, but he's pretty bad on defense. Mobley's amazing on defense, and he's become pretty good on offense. So I could see the argument there that Jackson's making. The reason why I lean Cat third is because Cat is like so good on offense. He is so much better on offense than Mobley. The defense could narrow the gap there. And I would take Evan Mobley over Karl Anthony Towns all day, every day in terms of like, who do I want on my team, long-term potential, all that. Like Evan Mobley's a generational talent. It's looking like, and Cat's great too. I mean, Cat was a generational talent in his own right. The fact that he's a big man who can space the floor like that, the offense gets an even bigger boost just because of his positional skill set. But yeah, I mean, I would probably say it's Cat third, Mobley fourth. I don't think the gap is too big, but is there any other? Am I forgetting a big man in the East that's better than either one of them? Because the point that I was trying to make to begin with is that I think it's pretty impressive that Mobley has taken this leap forward. KP, that's a good one. Definitely not this year because he hasn't played. But that's a good one, Dan. I actually didn't think of Kristaps when I was thinking about this. I have to consider that for a second. Cat's defense on Jokic in Game 7 shows that it could be down to effort. There's definitely like a lot of defense does come down to effort, so I agree with that to an extent. I also think Cat though his problem is it's the decision making, like the bad fouls, being in the wrong position, stuff like that. Um, Foul trouble, yeah. It's like effort and playing hard is important, and Cat doesn't always play hard, but it's also just decision making, like being in the right position, rotating on time, understanding when to fall for when to jump and try to block a shot, or if you're falling for a pump fake and fouling 80 feet away from the basket. Like it's just some decision making stuff, but he's just the modern NBA is so wild because we expect someone like Karl Anthony Towns to be able to hold his own on an island defensively, 30 feet from the basket. But reality is, man, it's tough for 7 footers to do that. You look at Evan Mobley and Wembanyama, and even Al Horford isn't a 7 footer, but like even someone like Al Horford, these bigs who can like switch and rotate to the perimeter, it's not easy to do. And so someone like Karl Anthony Towns, who really isn't able to do that, gets made fun of and targeted relentlessly. But that's just a modern NBA thing, man. If Karl Anthony Towns was playing 10 years ago, a little more than 10 years ago at this point, geez, I'm getting old. It's crazy. But yeah, I mean, Karl Anthony Towns in a different era probably isn't as much of a sieve defensively, because he's just not getting targeted the way that he would in today's game. Tony really is unk now. It's crazy. I think like 10 years ago, it was like a different era of basketball. No, 10 years ago, it was like the 2015 season when like all this stuff really, really started, like the 3-point revolution and all that. It had been trending that way for a while, but like Stephen Curry's first MVP season was 10 years ago. What's up, Cleveland Cavaliers? Isn't that crazy to think about? The first Steph Curry MVP year was 10 years ago. That first matchup of LeBron and Curry in the finals. I saw someone tweet today that, when that finals happened, the narrative was like a clash of two different eras playing against each other, the old and the new. Here we are 10 years later. Obviously, things have changed quite a lot, but they're still going at each other. It's pretty wild. The longevity of both LeBron and Curry. All right, let's try to refocus on this game. I said at the start I wasn't going to get sidetracked, and I got sidetracked. It's a tie game up to this point. Like I said at the top, I was a little worried that, Boston could just destroy Minnesota. They're certainly capable of it. They could flip that switch at any time, but I like to see Minnesota staying in this, fighting. Dante DiVincenzo had such a killer year last year in New York and just has not replicated any of that success in Minnesota. It's been unfortunate to see. It's actually like DiVincenzo. This is a fun matchup right here. Seemed eager to leave New York. Yeah, he was talking a lot of trash to them. In that, was that a preseason game too, where he was talking trash to them, or was it an actual regular season game? I don't remember. It was very early in the year. But yeah, he's kind of stunk. I think he's also shooting below 40% from the field. Some good ball movement right there. See, shouldn't that be a jump ball? But I thought Rudy Gobert just left his feet. Doesn't matter. But yeah, you know what? I'll just be transparent. I'm a little bit of a Rudy Gobert hater. I think he's a great defender, but his lowlights on offense. Just if I was a Minnesota fan, I would hate him. I would really hate him. I just feel like his vibes are really bad. I think vibes matter in the NBA, and Rudy Gobert, bottom three worst vibes in the NBA. Like, he's got to be bottom three. I don't know if any of his teammates like him. The free fries is here. Is this Derpy's new account? Did Derpy make a new account while I was gone? Oh my, that's great. I love that. Free fries 120, perfect. No notes, derpy. That's fantastic. They've been giving you free fries like basically every game, man. It's unbelievable. I bet they're really regretting changing the promotion to the 120 points. They looked at the Cavs the last 3 years. They're like, man, they struggle to score 100. We'll make our promo this year. It'll be 120. They'll never get it. We'll never have to give away free fries. All of a sudden, you got the best offensive team and best offensive rating in NBA history or something crazy. Yeah, they're averaging over 120. We've been keeping track of this all year, but the Cavs last year, they scored 130 plus points 4 times, 4 total times last year. They've done it 8 already this year. They've already doubled it. We're not even halfway through the year. Yeah, you got the Cavalanche pick too. It's beautiful. Cool guy. I can have you I just saw that you requested to come on the stage. I can have you join at halftime. I didn't see that until just now. I don't know when you sent that. Change and pick to Don. Can't go wrong with Don. What is Jackson sending here? It's loading for me. Remind Tony of his terrible cat Evan Mobley take. That's fair enough. You can remind me. I'll stand by it. Let the record show that I don't think the gap is that big. But I do think Karl Anthony Towns is having a better season. And a lot of that comes down to him, playing a larger role in the offense. He's averaging like 25 points per game. He's shooting the lights out. His game is very aesthetically pleasing. Not to say that Evan Mobley's isn't, but there's just something about a 7-footer pulling from the logo, like with that rapid fire release. Jackson has the benefit of being a Cavs fan, so Cavs Twitter might help him out. But if New York Twitter gets a hold of that, it's over. If Knicks Muse catches you, it's gonna be bad. Yeah, Knicks Muse. Oh my god, I think I blocked Knicks Muse, or maybe I just muted them because they were terrorizing me during that 2023 series. It was it was horrible. Knicks fans are wild, but I honestly I respect it. I like it. Good old fashioned trash talk. Half of the fun of NBA Twitter. Yeah, we will be watching Thunder and Cavs on ESPN Wednesday. I'm pretty sure I'm signed up for that one. I'm not sure who else is, but I will be there. So looking forward to it. That matchup's going to be a lot of fun. Cavs Thunder. We talked about this on yesterday's stream. Cavs play the Thunder and Houston twice in January each. So like 4 total games there against the Thunder and the Rockets. 2 of the best defensive teams in the NBA. But not only that, they're 2 teams who really match up well against Cleveland, just in terms of like they have very switchable wing defenders all over the place, very versatile, very athletic. It's going to be a tough matchup for the Cavs. They could certainly win, like I'm not saying the Cavs have no hope or anything like that, but it's going to be a tough matchup. Like the Cavs offense has been putting up 120, 130 like it's nothing. Those free fries might be in jeopardy when you play OKC and Houston. So that could turn into a rock fight. So I'm very excited to see that. One game at a time, Mavs and Cavs Friday. Yeah, let's focus on that. No Luka, so doesn't mean it's going to be a gimme game, but gets a lot easier when Luka isn't out there. Keep that win streak going. They're at 8 in a row. Won all 8 of those by double digits. Like to keep that going. Yeah, just Kyrie. Klay Thompson too, I guess, but I will gladly take another win over Klay. Anytime we can beat Klay Thompson, feels good to me. dance. This isn't one of those streams, Derpy. I'm sorry. You have to go somewhere else to see that. All we do is provide bad takes here. But yeah, so Minnesota right now. Let me pull up these NBA standings because I was taking a look at this earlier. Obviously, we're not even halfway through the NBA season, so things can change. But Minnesota right now, 8th in the Western Conference. They're 17-15. They only have 2 more wins than the Detroit Pistons. And I feel like if you told someone that coming off of if you traveled back to Timberwolves beat Denver in Game 7, they're on their way to the conference finals, and then you tell them that by the end of the year, they'd actually only be 2 games ahead of the Detroit Pistons, you'd be like, what the hell happened? Well, he traded Karl Anthony Towns for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, and DiVincenzo sucks so far. Julius Randle, he's kind of sucked. He sucked. He's having a good game right now, but he hasn't been good in Minnesota. The vibes got completely ruined, and now you're fighting for a play-in spot. It's pretty crazy. San Antonio is 17-16. I hope that they make it to the playoffs. I would love to see Wemby on that stage. Yeah, the play-in, dude. The play-in could be an absolute bloodbath in the Western Conference, as it usually is. But right now, and again, we're not even halfway through the season, so all this could change. But right now, the play-in is the 7-8 matchup is LA versus Minnesota, and then the 9-10 is San Antonio versus Golden State. Phoenix is on the bubble. They're 11th. If Jackson's still here, you can't hold me accountable for my bad Phoenix take, but you asked me very early on. So for context, Jackson, after I think like the first week of the NBA season, maybe it was like 2 weeks in, it was still October. So it probably wasn't even 2 weeks in. He just asked the group chat, like, who do we think are the title contenders in the NBA? And I believe I know for a fact that I included Phoenix in my list. And you know what? Hasn't worked out. And Jackson reminds me every chance he gets. So listen, everyone got injured and things haven't gone well, but I don't think it was that bad of a take to think that Phoenix maybe could have been a contender this year if things had gone differently. Happy New Year. Yeah, Happy New Year, Cleveland Cavaliers. This is, this is my second stream. I did a stream yesterday, but yeah, I was gone for a while, man. I had the flu. I missed like 2 weeks. That wasn't podcasting, wasn't doing any live streams. So I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be hanging out with the chat again. Happy New Year's to everyone. I hope that 2025 is going well. Hope that got some resolutions that you're on your way to knocking out. 2024 was a very eventful and good year. So I had a very, very grateful for all the people who have tuned in on YouTube, people who have tuned in here. It's been great. Very, very grateful for, the podcast that I've done with Jackson and Corey, the collabs that I've been lucky enough to do, all that stuff. It was a great year, and hopefully 2025 will be even better. Tony was high on NyQuil for New Year's. I actually had started to recover by the time I got to New Year's, so I did manage to. I watched most of the Cavs game that night, and then I went out to Lakewood for a little while for midnight because at that point I had been like no symptoms for like 5 days. But yeah, dude, like middle of December, I got hit with the flu, and it was so bad. It was crazy because one day I would start to feel a little bit better, and then the next day it would be like 2 steps back. And it was just back and forth for a solid 2 weeks until finally went to the ER. They put me on an IV. I was dehydrated, got me back up, rejuvenated me. I saw the Cavs win streak. That helped bring me back to life. And yeah, thankfully, I made it to 2025 against all odds. And now we're here watching Celtics Timberwolves, just as I always hoped. So yeah, looking at that field goal percentage right there, Minnesota 5-17 this quarter. Started off shooting the lights out. I said at the time, not sure how sustainable that's going to be. And right now, Boston's starting to pull away. Minnesota's not able to keep up. But yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for the kind words. Yeah, you know what? The flu. It was unfortunate when I found out it was the flu too, because like they don't even do anything for the flu. If it had been like, strep throat or something, like they could give me antibiotics. With the flu, it's just like, yeah, you just got to suffer through it. But getting sick makes you appreciate the small things. True. It's very true. You just start reminiscing when you weren't sick, when you could breathe through your nose and stuff like that. Breathing, yeah. See what they get here on this last possession. Oh, almost steals it. Active hands. Nice. Kada coming alive. Did they not count that? Shot clock violation? Oh, man. That's unfortunate. Oh, they did count it. Oh, I'm guessing they had a foul to give there. I'm not too familiar with Kada's game. You know, I've seen him play here and there, but the main thing that I remember him for was the first Cavs Celtics game this year when they put Craig Porter Jr. in the pick and roll with Kada, like against Kada over and over again, and he was just getting torched. So I like Kada for that one game because he made the Craig Porter agenda come back to life. It was a rough year for Craig Porter Jr., but when he was playing against Kada, he looked pretty great. Block at the buzzer right there. Yeah, like I said, Boston can really turn it on. They can flip a switch, and I think we saw that quarter. All right, let's see what other NBA games are on right now. See if we can do some surfing at halftime. Yeah, the Pacers are killing the Heat. Someone said that earlier. Nets Bucks 2-point game. Clippers Thunder. Probably gonna let's tune into Clippers Thunder. Stop shot chucking. That's kind of Boston's whole thing, though, isn't it? I say that respectfully. Boston plays the math game. Yeah, you need a plan B. It's true. I know that's as speaking as an outsider, someone who's not as tapped into the Celtics as obviously a Celtics fan would be. Um, that has always been like the one question. It's like if the 3-point shots aren't falling, what's plan B? You have Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown who can get to the rim. Like they're great players, great individual shot creators, but um, when that 3-point shot is Jaylen Brown's not playing tonight, obviously, but when that 3-point shot isn't falling, turning to an alternative plan, they've seemed reluctant to do that. I'm gonna go grab a water real quick. Be right back. You get to see my wall. All right, so the Cavs right now, I mentioned this earlier, they're on a 72 win pace. That's if everything continues to go the way it has been. Do you guys think they're going to win 70 games? Is there a real chance? Dan says nope. I'm with you just because I'm being cautiously optimistic, and it's too good to be true. 70 win season's too good to be true. Dylan's going with 69. I'm going to say 65. 65 or more, but that's the bar that I'm hoping for. Listen, a 60 win season. If you told me at the start of the year they're going to win 60 games, I would have been like, that's amazing. Let's go. I think my prediction at the start of the year was 57 was like best case scenario. I was like, yeah, they win 57 games, second in the Eastern Conference. That would be sweet. Picked, yeah. Dylan, their over under was set at 49.5. Like that was their over under. Yeah, doubt they win 70 games. So If my math is mathing correctly, I think they basically just need to go what, like 30 and 20 or like 30, like they don't need to play that good to win 60 because they've already won. They're 29 and 4. So I'm expecting them to hit 60 barring like a complete collapse. 65, like if you just play good, you're gonna win 65 at this point, which is crazy to say. Um, but yeah, I'm hoping for 65. Again, that preseason over under was set at 49, and they're pretty, like they're gonna hit that by what, like March? I mean, it's crazy. How many teams have started 29 and 4? So I can't give you the answer to that, but I can give you close to an answer. All I know is that only 3 teams in the last 30 years have had a better win percentage entering the new year. So only 3 teams in the last 30 years have had basically a better record entering the new year in the last 30 years. It's the Golden State Warriors in 2016, the 2008 Boston Celtics, who won the championship, and then the 95-96 Bulls, who were a pretty good team, some people would say. Yeah, the last team that started, 29 and 4 or better, the Golden State Warriors 2016. We all know what happened there. But hey, like I've said before, the last time a team started off this well, the Cavs won the championship. So the Cavs weren't the team that started off that well, but it ended in a Cavs championship. So hopefully it happens again. 2025, it's such a clean number to raise a banner, Like 2016 was a really clean number too. 2025 would look beautiful up there in Rocket Mortgage. So just saying. I have been so patient and composed and trying not to jump the gun and call the Cavs a title contender the last few years. Um, I was repeatedly saying like when they first traded for Donovan Mitchell, I said over and over again, like, hey, they're a very good team. They're not competing for a championship this year. It's not going to happen. They might make the second round. They might, maybe a conference finals, but like they're not a title contender. It's going to take some time. Second year, Donovan Mitchell. So last year, again, said over and over again, even when they were on that 18-2 run in like January, December, I was like, hey, I love to see it. They're still not a title contender. I'm not saying that to be overly negative. It takes time. It takes time in the NBA to get to where the Cavs are now. But now they're a title contender, like straight up. They are just legitimately one of the teams that has a legit chance at winning the title. Are they the favorites? My gut is still going to pick Boston. Like if you forced me to pick someone and it was like my life was on the line, I would probably pick Boston. But the Cavs are in that conversation, man. They really are. It's like I would say it's Boston, Cleveland, and OKC are the 3 teams who I think, like if I had to pick the top 3, those are the 3 teams that have the best chance of winning the title. Things get weird in the NBA. It doesn't always work out the way that you would normally think. Like I don't know who, like maybe Milwaukee makes a run. I don't know. Things could get weird, but like those are the 3 teams that if I had to pick, I would say those are the 3 that have the best chance. I'm not sure how I feel about the rest of the Western Conference. I wanted at the start of the year, and honestly up until recently, I would have said the Nuggets had a legit chance, but I just think their depth. I don't think I can reasonably bet on their depth. I know Jokic is the best player in the world, so that's why I wanted to give them this extended like benefit of the doubt, but you got to have more than one guy. Cleveland, Boston, and OKC. Yeah, I mean, I think it's really those 3 teams. Maybe I'm forgetting someone right now. Let me check the standings. So okay, New York. I'll give New York credit. I do think they have a chance. I don't think they're quite as good as Cleveland, Boston, or OKC, but I would like to give New York a shout out. Like I would not be surprised. After that, I really don't think any other team in the East has a chance. Milwaukee, just solely off the strength of Giannis and Dame, if they go nuclear, but having them go nuclear for that long, too many things have to go right. So I'm not really too in on them. I'm not in on Memphis. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think they're winning a title. Sorry, I just don't. That team's very good. It's very well constructed. I don't think they have it. I don't think they have it in them. I know I sound like a hater. I know I'm doing like the Stephen A. Smith first take. I'm not even really elaborating on why. I just don't believe in them. That's all it is. It's just I don't know what it is. I just don't believe in them. Houston, yeah. I mean, listen, Houston's not winning the title. They're third in the Western Conference right now. They're not winning the title. Very good year for them, though. Like, this is a big step forward for them. They're very early in their process. I don't know what the future of that team will look like, but they're trending in a very good direction. Denver's fourth in the Western Conference right now. Again, I already kind of mentioned Jokic is the best player in the world. That gets you pretty far. That gives you a lot of benefit of the doubt, but the rest of the roster is struggling so much. And if Jamal Murray isn't Jamal Murray, I don't see how Denver pulls it out. Like, I don't see how you win 4 rounds with just Jokic. You need huge contributions from guys who haven't shown to be that type of player. Jamal Murray has shown that he can win a championship, but he's not that guy anymore. At least up to this point, he has not been that guy for a little while now. What do you get? Are you getting Christian Brown to step up? Michael Porter Jr. is going to step up for 4 rounds? It's not going to happen. So, unfortunately, I think the door is slammed shut pretty firmly on Denver, at least this current iteration of the team. Dallas is fifth in the West. Yeah, I mean, like, I know they made the finals last year, but they were really outmatched against Boston. It showed. I think they punched way above their weight class. When you have Luka Doncic and Kyrie, you can punch way above your weight class. Their supporting cast is solid. So I won't slam the door shut on them, but I don't think I don't think they beat OKC again in a rematch. I don't think they beat the Cavs or the Celtics. I don't think they even beat. They might beat New York. I think they would beat New York. But other than that, Dallas is like kind of in the mix, I guess, is what I would say. I think Dallas would probably beat New York just because, you know, we've already seen what Luka can do when you give him just an obvious weak point on defense to pick on. He's just gonna abuse you until the series is over. So like Karl Anthony Towns would be an absolute hell in that series. But I would be pretty stunned if the finals was Dallas, New York to begin with. Jalen Brunson is good. Yeah, I mean, that would be a really weird. This is a crazy hypothetical because I don't think either team makes the finals, but New York certainly has a chance. I would say there's 3 teams in the East that have a chance of making the finals: it's Cleveland, Boston, and New York. Milwaukee, listen, injuries happen, things happen. I could definitely see a scenario where Milwaukee makes a run if things fall the right way for them, if there's timely injuries, like stuff like that. Philly, I think it's over. I think the ship has sailed for Philly. I don't imagine they'll be able to pull it together and make a legit run. I know you could probably. I don't know how many people are talking themselves into it, but I'm sure there are people out there talking themselves into, Philly gets healthy somehow, miraculously they get healthy, and then they, end the second half of the year strong, get into the playoff picture, maybe like the 6th seed or something, and then they have a chance on paper against anybody. I think that ship has sailed. And then outside of that, it's like Atlanta. Like Atlanta could, I wouldn't be surprised if Atlanta makes it to the second round if they stun somebody. But are they going to go to the finals? Probably not. So all this to say, to bring it back to the Cavs, the NBA right now is just wide open, I think. Like, I really do. I think this is, of all the eras to be the Cavs right now, this is a pretty good era because there's no team that I'm like Boston is the favorite, I think. They're not unbeatable by any means. I think they're a very vulnerable team. They're the favorite, but I think they're a very vulnerable defending champion. So the Cavs have a legit chance. Clippers are playing well. I've been surprised by the Clippers this year. They've genuinely put together a pretty good team. When they lost Paul George and Kawhi Leonard disappeared once again, I wasn't quite sure that they'd have the year they've had, but they're playing pretty solid basketball. Obviously they have the brand new arena, so they have a lot of incentive to not just bottom out and tank. But they're 6th in the Western Conference right now, 19-14. They're playing good ball. Very good defensive team. James Harden is like a watered down version of who he used to be, but he's playing good ball. Even this version of the James Harden, heliocentric style, still pretty good. We'll be switching back to the Celtics game shortly. Here's a stat from Steve Jones for the Celtics game. Celtics have more assists, 17, than the Minnesota Timberwolves have made field goals, just 16. And he goes on to say ball movement execution has to go up in the year their defense can't sustain being elite. And yeah, I mean, that's part of the problem for Steve Jones Jr. on Twitter. I'm sure you've seen him before. He's dunker spot with the guys. But yeah, Minnesota, it's like no team chemistry, zero team chemistry between those guys. Oh, you troll them a lot. I like Steve and Nikias. That I think they do great stuff. But yeah, I mean it's like Minnesota. You just hear the way they talk and press conferences, the way they play. It just doesn't seem like those guys like playing together, and that's a big part of basketball. And you look at the Cavs, the power of friendship. It genuinely it matters. It makes a difference. And that stat just kind of showcases it. Boston too. I mean, like Boston's a very connected team. Their ball movement's incredible. They're all on the same page. They all seem like they like playing together. Clippers are doing whatever their version of a Cavalanche is. Does any other NBA team have a like term as cool as the Cavalanche? I can't think of any others. The Cavalanche is like perfect. I don't know if any other NBA team has a term like that. Also, does anyone know who originated the Cavalanche term? Was it Worldwide Wob? I know he was posting it. Was it him? Okay. Respect to him for that because he gave us a beautiful term. Surprised it took this long for us to someone to come up with that name. He was also the first one that I saw use it. Yeah, it's an ugly pass right there. They haven't been good enough to do that until recently. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you had the LeBron teams that someone maybe could have came up with it for, but to be honest with you, the Cavalanche type of runs, they kind of like I'm sure I'm positive. Like I know the Cavs LeBron teams went on big runs, but the 3-point shot is what I'm kind of hinting at here is like that kind of created the possibility for those Cavalanche runs. Like it's not the same if you're not burying 3-pointers. So I guess it does kind of make sense that it took a while. It took until this era of basketball for us to come up with that term. Because you just weren't pouring on 3-pointers the way that an NBA team will now. And I think I dropped this take on today's pod, but like the Cavalanches this year have been supercharged. This has been like the craziest Cavalanches. I know the first couple of Cavalanches way back in 21, 22, those were like the best because they was the first time and no one expected the Cavs to be that good. And you had Jetty Osman and Kevin Love, and it was so much fun. But really, those original Cavalanches, they only happened because Jetty hit like three threes in a row, or Kevin Love hit three threes in a row. It was like just those two guys hitting threes, and then the Cavs playing really good defense. Yeah, the one versus the Pacers with Kevin Love. It's always Kevin Love and Jetty. This year's Cavalanche, it's the whole team. It's like the whole team is locking down. Ty Jerome's hitting threes. Donovan Mitchell's hitting threes. Darius Garland's hitting threes. Evan Mobley, like they're swinging the ball around, getting wide open layups. Like it's just so surgical and everyone's involved that it feels like a supercharged experience. But the one versus the Pacers was crazy. You had the behind the back from Kevin Love to Jetty. I really love the one against Sacramento because there's like 5 blocks from Jared Allen included. It's just Jared Allen's packing everybody at the rim. They're running out in transition. The alley-oop to Allen at the end, or no, it was the alley-oop to Mobley at the end. But Allen had the breakaway dunk, like the 2-hand back scratcher. So sweet. So awesome. And to this point, you see the Cavs still it's 2025. We're still being compared to the 2015 Atlanta Hawks. This is a take that I've dropped a few times. What the Cavs are doing right now, yes, we didn't expect them to be this good. This is better than we could have hoped for. This isn't some fluke breakout team, though. This is a team that has been showing the potential to do this for 3 years now. We're talking about Cavalanches from 2021 right now. They've been doing this for a while, and we've all seen that they had the potential, you know, in 2021, 22, it was those Cavalanches. The next year, you get Donovan Mitchell, you win 50 games. Didn't quite have as many Cavalanches, but you're still figuring things out. Last season, you get the 18-2 stretch where they're just killing teams left and right. They're playing lights out. And then this year we've seen them finally put it all together consistently, right? Like, so it's not some random fluke team that came out of nowhere. This is a team that's been trending upwards for a while now, and we're seeing both sides click. The one against Golden State earlier this season was magical. Out of body experience. Ty Jerome, that was probably his best game. And Ty Jerome had that big game against New Orleans, but that first half against Golden State was maybe my favorite because dude just came in off the bench pulling from like 30 feet. He did the same thing against New Orleans, but he kind of like warmed up against New Orleans. He had a couple layups, a couple easy threes. Golden State, it was like he came off the bench and he's pulling from the logo. Coro, there's the play where Coro blocks Stephen Curry. They get the rebound. Ty Jerome pulls up from like 35. It was just wild. Only Cavs fans paying attention to all this. I don't think anybody else is paying attention. Yeah. I mean, I think the All-Star votes are probably an indicator of that, right? Like they didn't get much respect from the fans. So the small market bias, although there was a lot of small market guys who did really well in the fan voting. So I don't know. It's interesting. I think a big thing of it just comes down to I don't want to open up the NBA ratings discourse again because I think we're all tired of that. But the Cavs are the best team in basketball, and they're like almost never on national TV. And so you have to understand, like a lot of casual fans, they're just not seeing it. They're just literally not seeing it because it's not on TV. I think sometimes it's that simple. Like the Cavs should be on national TV like multiple times a week. Probably they should have at least one game a week on national TV with the way they're playing. They're quite literally on a historic pace. They're playing the best basketball of like any team we've seen in a long time. So it's just kind of crazy that they're almost never on national TV. And they play a very aesthetically pleasing game too. It's not even, I mean, if you're winning that many games, it's going to be aesthetically pleasing regardless. But ooh, that was a powerful dunk right there. But yeah, I mean, they're moving the ball like crazy. Their assists every game. It's so fun to watch. Such a beautiful brand of basketball. They play defense. They do all the things that NBA fans say that you want to see. So put them on NBA TV. Yeah, it's Kevin Porter Jr. That was a pretty nasty dunk, though. I'll give credit where it's due. I think Hartenstein blocked it too, and he still managed to power it through. Here's Norman Powell. Up. Yeah. Man, there were some dark days on Cavs Twitter during that era. Can't wait for the playoffs to see if Garland can finally prove all the haters wrong. That's the only thing about this hot start to the year that is unfortunate is that for a lot of people, they're gonna completely ignore it until the playoffs come. They're gonna say, I don't care how good he is right now. Let me see it in the playoffs. And it's unfortunate. It's like the dude's playing the best basketball of his career. I kind of wish more people could just enjoy that. To be fair, I think I've seen more people. I haven't seen many of the haters recently, so that's good. I haven't seen too many haters on the timeline, but yeah, unfortunately, it is going to come down to what he does in the playoffs. And listen, I hope he balls out. I hope he absolutely balls out. Last year was just a nightmare season for him for so many reasons, but he did have some relatively big moments in the playoffs. He had, I think, a 30-point game against Boston. They ended up losing that one, I believe, but he actually showed up and was playing well. Game 7 against Orlando, he hits the big 3-pointer in the corner. Like, if you're going back to his first playoff series against New York, he had that game too where he was just electric. 18 points in the first quarter. I think he finished with like 32, 36, something like that. So Darius Garland has had moments on the big stage. And I think those flashes for a young player is really important because again, you have to keep in mind, he's 24 years old. Those are quite literally the first playoff series that he has ever played. And he's a guy who's like, he's like an all-star player in his best season, right? Like he's having the best season of his career, and we're talking about whether or not he's going to make it to the All-Star game. And so when you have a player of that caliber and they're still this young and they're playing in their first playoff series, they're not going to look like Luka Doncic or LeBron James. They're going to have some rough moments. And so I think Darius Garland up to this point looks like he has learned a lot from those experiences. And I think, as Dylan just said, I think we're going to see him start to put it all together when it matters. I think he's really learned and matured from those experiences. Just everything from the decision making, the shot selection, like all that. So I think he'll have the best, knock on wood, he's going to have the best postseason of his career. I think we're going to see it all come together. All right, I'm going to wait till the next dead ball, and then I'm going to switch us back to the Celtics game. SGA, is SGA the MVP right now? I think he'd probably be my pick. I think if I had a vote, which I don't, but if I had a vote, I think SGA would probably be my pick right now. Second best team in the NBA. He's like the clear number one. Listen, I understand like a lot of times best player on the best team gets a lot of MVP consideration. Not hearing Donovan Mitchell get much buzz, and that's just because the Cavs are such a well-rounded team. So I think the next logical person would be SGA for me. Yeah, you know what? Cleveland Cavaliers and everyone in the chat, I'm sure we all feel vindicated by the season Darius Garland has had because, man, I don't even have to remind you some of the takes that people were dropping last year. It got real ugly. He was getting compared to some bums. He was getting compared to some absolute bums. People got so low on Darius Garland. And listen, I get it, he sucked last year. He had a lot of bad moments last year, but it's been so good. It's been so vindicating and refreshing to see him bounce back the way that he has. I saw people were people were talking about trading Darius Garland for Austin Reeves last summer, and it was absurd. People were talking about listen. I like Craig Porter Jr. You guys all know how I feel about Craig Porter Jr. I saw people legitimately saying that we should bench Darius Garland and start Craig Porter Jr. in the playoffs. Craig Porter Jr. didn't even get on the floor in the playoffs. People were saying this, and so listen, fans get hyperbolic, fans get frustrated, and they start exaggerating. But still, like people fell low on Darius Garland, way too low. I'm sure if you pulled up or if anyone had bookmarked this stuff during the summer, all the NBA trade machine posts featuring Darius Garland, there's got to be some nasty ones in there. Such a silky smooth pull up from SGA right there. Yeah, no, Kiki, you're right. Listen, Darius had a really bad year last year, so I'm not ignoring that at all. He played some very bad games. I mean, the dude could not finish at the rim. Try to trade DG for LeBron. That's at least more respectable because it's LeBron James. But yeah, I mean, he just even before he fractured his jaw, he was having a pretty rough year. Like his 3-point shooting was really bad. The turnovers were awful. Like, I mean, just some of the most mind-boggling turnovers he's ever thrown. He just looked so out of it. He looked completely out of it. Again, like early half of the season, throwing horrible turnovers, not shooting the ball well. He was getting to the rim very well, which was always good to see, but the rest of the game wasn't clicking. Obviously, he fractures his jaw, loses 12 to 15 pounds, comes back. Celtics are back on. I'll go ahead and switch over right now, actually. I was going to wait till a dead ball, but we'll count this right here. It's a dead ball. Perfect timing. But yeah, Darius obviously fractures his jaw. He's drinking from a straw. He loses 12, 15 pounds. Comes back one of the worst finishers at the rim in the NBA last year after the jaw injury. So you completely remove that from his game basically because he just could not get to the rim. The floater had disappeared on him. 3-point shot came back, which was cool. He was shooting, dude. He was on a heater in like February, March. He was shooting the ball so well from three. He had a big game against Minnesota. If you guys remember, I think they went to overtime. He had like 30 something points, and Minnesota was the number one defense in the NBA last year. So he did have moments. Garland had moments last year where you could see that he was still that caliber of player. But man, again, the 7 threes against Detroit. He had the big game against Minnesota, big game against New Orleans. Like the moments were there, especially from the 3-point line. Smoked a layup right there, Naz Reid. That was tough. But yeah, DG, it was just he couldn't get to the rim. He couldn't get to the rim, and a lot of that was losing all that weight. And you see now this year, he just looks so much more physical, so much more tough. He had an end one against Golden State, where he like jumps in the air, takes the hit, almost like Kyrie absorbs the contact and finishes through. It's like he wasn't doing that last year. He was getting sent to the floor if he took that much contact last year. This year, he managed to absorb the contact and finish through it. So, Tatum has a dirty crossover right to the rim. Tatum has an underrated dunk package. That wasn't like anything too crazy, but he has an underrated dunk package. You can hear him swear on the Warriors broadcast. Yeah, they on the Cavs broadcast too. They replayed it a couple of times. You could still hear him. So it's funny they didn't blur that out because it's very audible. So that was great. And even like, dude, even just him yelling like that. I mean, last year he had no confidence in himself. You could tell, like, just the confidence that because he screamed, he screamed "N blank one" while the ball was still in the air against Golden State. He wasn't doing that last year. He would shoot a 3-pointer and it looked like he was praying that it would go in. Now he lets it fly and he's blowing kisses to everybody. He's hopping around the floor. The joy is back, as he said. That iconic quote. The joy is back. What are some Cavs New Year resolutions that you guys would have? What do you want to see from the team in 2025? It's hard to, you don't want to ask for too much. You don't want to get greedy. The team's 29-4, but are there any things you'd like to see them fix? Anything you'd like to see them get better at? I have a few, a few tiny ones. I would say my number one resolution. I need the Strus to get loose. You know what I mean? I need Max Strus healthy. I need him out there playing 25 to 30 minutes a night. I need to see him in a rhythm. I need him in the starting lineup. I need him running the inverted pick and rolls with Mobley. That's what I want to see. They get beat on outlet passes after makes a lot recently, less of that. I would say, maintaining the defense is a resolution for me for sure. They're currently 8th in defensive rating. Want to see them stay firmly in that top 10. Keep winning like they've been. Yeah, I'll take that. I would love to see that. Yeah, I mean, most of the resolutions are just keep it up, right? Like basically every resolution you can come up with is just keep doing what you're doing. Darius Garland, keep it up. Donovan Mitchell, basically every player on the roster is having like a career best year. I know Donovan Mitchell's numbers aren't career best because he's taken less of a, his touches are down. Usage rate is actually like still pretty high, but he's playing fewer minutes. So that's why his numbers aren't as good. But I mean, basically everyone's having like a career best year. The only guy who like isn't is probably Jared Allen, but again, he's taken such a smaller role, so it's like I can't even be upset at that. Like he's still playing great basketball. He's just not being relied upon the way he was before. George Niang having his best year. Karis LeVert, I think, probably having his best year. Obviously, Ty Jerome. Sam Merrill, I guess, isn't having his best year yet. But I do think, I think Sam, we're seeing him find his three-point shot over the last few weeks. I know he just sprained his ankle, so we'll see what happens there. But he is doing a good job moving. He always does a good job moving out the ball, but he's doing a good job on defense, not being targeted. He's doing a good job cutting. He's doing his best to attack closeouts. And if the three-point shot comes around, it could definitely be another career best year for him, because last year clearly was the best year of his career. But Dean Wade, best year of his career. Okoro was having the best year of his career before he got injured. Mobley, obviously. Am I forgetting anybody? It's Tristan Thompson isn't having the best year of his career, but all the rotation guys are just killing it. Yeah, Jayson Tatum, step back, no push off that time, just clean step back. I really do like Jayson Tatum. I know I've said this before on the stream, but I think he gets overhated. I think he's a really good player. He's not LeBron or Kevin Durant or one of these face of the league superstars, and so I think that's why people get they're disappointed or they hate on him and anything and everything. But he's a really good player. I think he gets too much hate. Yeah, I know. There are still some people hating on the Cavs. I know the Hoop Collective, unfortunately, is a little reluctant to give them their credit. We'll have to talk to Tim Bontemps and ask him about that sometime soon. Yeah, that's another thing. Like Tatum seems like a great player, great person. Yeah, I mean, he's a great person off the court. It seems like so cool guy. If you're talking about Tatum, like that Tatum hate, I agree. It's very forced. Um, like even people were hating on the man for how he was celebrating a championship. And I feel like at that point, we're forcing it a little bit. You win the championship, you can celebrate however the hell you want. If you want to be corny and try to have your Kevin Garnett moment or whatever it is, get your quote or whatever, take your photos, recreate stuff, dude, you won the chip. You can do whatever you want. I'm sorry. Listen, I'm not a Celtics fan. I'm not a Jayson Tatum stan, but it is, listen, cool guy. It's corny, but at the same time, you won the chip. You can do whatever the hell you want. I'm not gonna hate. We can call it corny, and I agree, but at the end of the day, you win, you get the right to be corny once you win a championship. So it is corny, but you earn the right to be corny. the we did it was so funny. that was hilarious. It was just so awkwardly timed. There was the pause, and then he screams in, and it just wasn't great. But Tatum balling right now. Oh, that was an ugly lob pass. Yeah, the timing of his moment, Tatum's moment, we did it. It just he didn't time it right. That's all. The execution was bad. Yeah. Oh, Anthony Edwards would give us some great iconic moments if he won a championship. We'll see if it ever happens, because Minnesota. Ugh, I don't know if it's going to happen in Minnesota. It's such a shame. It's such a shame. And not to say that they would have won with Karl Anthony Towns instead, but I just feel like they messed up the trajectory of this team right now. Tatum is definitely hated. Yeah. Yeah. Especially by Cavs fans. Cavs fans definitely don't like him. And I understand. I love a good rivalry. So don't take this as me telling you not to hate Jayson Tatum. You can hate Jayson Tatum all you want. I'm here for it. I just personally, like I don't hate Jayson Tatum anywhere near the way that I hated Stephen Curry or Klay Thompson or even like I mean it's really just the Warriors that were doing it to us back then. But I never really I don't know. I just don't hate Tatum that way. Yeah, cool guy. Listen, I'm not going to stop it. Is all I'm saying. If Cavs fans want to hate Jayson Tatum, it's all good fun. That's your right as an NBA fan to hate your rival. He's in a groove right now. Yeah, 16 points in the quarter. Yeah, I am surprised that Minnesota's managed to keep this game relatively close. Look, they bounced back this quarter, shooting 6 of 9 from the 3-point line. Get some good offensive production out of this team right now. All right, Tatum give us one more bucket here. Step back. Ooh, left it short. Good defense from Randle right there. All right, we still have ourselves a game, 6-point game. Even with a Tatum explosion there in the third quarter, Minnesota manages to, I think, cut the lead down. I'm trying to pull this up right now. I think they might have won that quarter. They were down like 10 or something at halftime, weren't they? Yeah, they won that quarter 34-29. So even with the Tatum 16 points there. Yeah, Tatum's got 28 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Sam Hauser's got 15 points. Derek White's got 13. Drew Holiday has 11. Peyton Pritchard has 11. As for Minnesota, Julius Randle, 24 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. He's been having a good game all night. Anthony Edwards, only 9 points. We haven't really, well, I guess I'll say I haven't really focused on this game as much as I probably should have. So I didn't even realize he was struggling that much. But yeah, I haven't really seen him score. Now that I think about it, I know I saw him hit a 3 in the first half, but I haven't really seen him score much. 6 assists, though, so he is finding ways to be impactful. Rudy Gobert, 6 points, 6 rebounds. Jaden McDaniels got 19, so he stepped up a little bit. Naz Reid's got 14. We'll see if Ant-Man can come alive in the fourth quarter. Wonder if the Warriors bounce back tonight. Who do they have? Is it Philly? Are they playing Philly? Yeah, they play Philly at 10 o'clock. Who's playing for Philly tonight? You literally never know. I'll check the injury report right now. That team is just have no idea who's going to play on any given night. Embiid is playing. Yeah, I just pulled up the injury report here. Oh, it looks like they actually have all their guys available, basically. I mean, Embiid. It says Embiid's questionable, but this is from a little while ago. But like Andre Drummond's out, KJ Martin, Jared McCain, Kelly Oubre, they're out, but no one else is on the injury report. So could actually be a pretty good game. Steph is questionable with a thumb sprain, and Draymond is probable. Wiggins is also probable. Pajemski's out. So hopefully, Steph, Draymond, Wiggins are able to go. Hopefully, Embiid is good to go. Could be a fun matchup. No Drummond, yeah. The no Drummond asterisk could work both ways. Like you lose without Drummond, or you beat a team that doesn't have Drummond. It's like, well, you didn't have to play Drummond. On the other hand, if you're the team with Drummond on your team and you win without him, it's like, well, we didn't have Drummond out there, so it was a little easier for us to win. Given any given night, it could be easier to win without him. But yeah, Tyrese Maxey's probably the only one playing. Yeah, Paul George will be like a game time decision. We'll see. So they're all scheduled to play. Do all of them make it through 4 quarters? Does Joel Embiid go down? Does Paul George go down? You literally never know. Yeah, Golden State, they started off the year I don't remember what their record was to start, but I know they started off really hot. I want to say they were like 8-1. Maybe I'm misremembering that, but I know they started off really good. They're 16-16 right now. So they've cooled down quite a bit. They're 3-7 in their last 10. 9-1. Yeah, okay, that's what it was. I had a feeling they were. Yeah. So they been about 500 cents. Okay, yeah. So no Jaylen Brown, no Kristaps Porzingis, and no Tatum on the court right now. Brown and Kristaps are out for the game. They didn't play today, but no Tatum on the court right now. If you're Minnesota, you got to get this game tied. You got to go on a run right here. This is a good start. Ooh, good rotation from Boston. Nice drive, though. Oh my God. Who even is that? Okay, Josh Minot. Is that how you say his name? I'm not sure. I am familiar with him. I just don't know how to pronounce his name. That was an athletic move, though. Wow. Boston, yeah, well, Brian Scalabrine just took it from me, but they did a really good job in transition. The Celtics getting back, rotating, and then Josh just took him off the dribble and threw it down. Four-point game. DiVincenzo hitting the deck. Good defense right there. Scrapping. The Wolves, they're hungry. They're desperate. They really need to turn around this season. Winning cures everything. So if they can turn things around and just pick up a couple wins, I've mentioned it all night about how bad the vibes are and how bad the team chemistry is, but you start winning some games and you could turn it around. Now, I'm not going to bet on that for Minnesota, but that's the idea here. That's your goal. You pick up a come from behind victory over the Celtics. That's a pretty good start to turning things around. You feel pretty good about that. Right now, DiVincenzo bringing the energy. They're scrapping. They're fighting. You got a Julius Randle ISO. All right, he didn't forget how to pass the ball that time. I don't know if you guys saw that recent clip, but wow. Oh, offensive foul. Yeah, it took it right to the chest. And one for Derek White. So that's a nice two-way sequence right there for him. He draws the charge, beats his man off the dribble and converts the N1 right here. Derek White terrifies me, man. I thought he played good against the Cavs last year, but he was the one who really terrified me because I'm like, he just does a little bit of everything. He just changes games. All right, Celtics defense reclaiming the momentum here. Yeah, this is not good if you're Minnesota. Dodged a bullet right there from that three. But you do not want to concede ground right now when Tatum's not even on the court. These are the minutes you have to win. Back to back bad possessions. This is a pretty decent possession right there. Got a clean look. Yeah, nice. That was a nice flare screen right there. Set a solid one. DiVincenzo had a fantastic year last year in New York shooting the ball. Just has not really shot it that well this year. Whoa, look at the defense. That dude is so athletic. We already saw the big dunk and now just pinned him to the glass right there. Hopefully we get a replay of that. Oh, and a take foul in transition too. This is a big sequence for Minnesota. Look at that block. All right, just like that, we got a one possession game potentially on our hands. Looking across the league right now, the Pacers are still drilling the Heat. Clippers up by 4 going into halftime. OKC's on a 12-game win streak, right? Let me double check that. 12 games in a row, so that's in jeopardy. Nets are up by 12 on the Bucks. That would be a bad loss, man. Hey, Cavaliers, LQ. I am feeling better, thankfully. I survived 2024, just barely made it. I've actually been feeling better for a couple days now. The only like lingering symptom is a little bit of a cough, a little congested, but other than that, feeling great, feeling so much better. It's been such a relief to just get back to like regular routine. I wish it wasn't super cold outside. That's the only unfortunate thing. It's like 20 degrees now, but yeah, I've been doing good. Had a good New Year's. Hope everyone else did too. Hope your year's off to a good start, man. It's just so good to be back. Appreciate it. I missed yapping about basketball, yapping about the Cavs. Gonna do some blogging as well. I have a couple things that I want to get written for Fear of the Sword here soon, so I'm looking forward to it. I want to catch a charge game too because that public auditorium, that arena just looks so sick. So I got to get up to a charge game sometime soon. Monty Bates is playing. He's back. Greg Porter's been playing good. Get to see some JT Thor, Luke Travers. So I would like to see some charge games soon. Yeah, one thing I really want to write about is the Cavs 3-point shooting recently. It has just been absurd, dude. It's been crazy. 7 straight games of 18 or more three-pointers. They came very close to the NBA record with I think they almost had 5 straight games of 20 plus three-pointers. They ended up with just 4 straight games, but the game before that streak, they hit 19, and the game after it, they hit 18. So they were like right on the edge of doing it. Yeah, they've been shooting the lights out. They're the best three-point shooting team in the NBA right now by percentage. They're shooting 40%. Last year, I think they were oh man, I just had this stat for the pod. Let me pull it up. They're number 1 in three-point percentage this year. What were they last year? Let me pull up my notes from the pod that I just did. I can't believe I can't remember. Okay. So they're first in three-point percentage this year. Last year they were 15th. They're number 1 in offensive rating this year. Last year they were 18th in offensive rating. Huge improvements right there. So I want to write about that three-point shooting. Cavs Rockets when they play in Cleveland. That could be a great game, Dylan. We talked about it a little bit earlier. I'm really interested to see, speaking of that Cavs 3-point defense or 3-point defense, speaking of the Cavs 3-point shooting, part of the reason why they're shooting so lights out and they're leading the NBA is because they're generating clean looks. I mean, whether it's Darius, Donovan, whoever, generating these clean looks, creating advantages for other people and for themselves. That's why they're shooting so good. Play against Houston, a really good perimeter defense. I can't wait to see how it holds up. It's going to be a good measuring stick game for them, like a good measuring stick moment. Yeah, so they're keeping Tatum on the bench here. 9 minutes left in the game. Minnesota has come back to tie it. They were down double digits at halftime, down 6 starting this quarter. Yeah, Cavaliers LQ, exactly. That's it. Like they're not just jacking up three-pointers. They're getting so many good looks. What when I write this story for Fear of the Sword, I'm going to try and find like the shot quality, basically like how many open threes they're getting, stuff like that, because they have to be near the top of the league. They're getting such great looks. Made the run with no Gobert. Yeah, no, I Gobert is such a strange player. I really don't know what to make of him because he is such a good defender. He's a good screen setter. Yeah, he would have helped right there. I don't know. He's one of those players who helps and hurts so much that it's just hard to really know what to make of him. He's so helpful, but he's so damaging all at the same time. Big three right there. Minnesota takes the lead. Yeah, matching Boston in terms of 3-point makes, shooting much better too. You see Boston's already take 47 threes. They jack them up there. Good D, pokes the ball free. Ooh, that's a tough luck foul right there. Good hustle from DiVincenzo. See, uh, I don't know. I don't know if I would. I feel like that's two guys diving for the ball, but it is what it is. He did kind of take out Derek White's legs, so yeah, I mean this would be sweet for the Cavs if Boston takes another L. Told you all about shot chucking. Yeah, 47 3-point attempts already, man. They're just getting them up there. We'll see if down the stretch they start to attack the basket a little bit. Like right there. That was a tough shot though. Yeah, Derek White's had two nice drives to the rim now. And that's, like if you're trying to maximize the Celtics team, you do need to get to the rim a little more often. If you're going to have this supreme spacing, they should take more advantage of it. So that's like the next step for them as a team. And, they've improved, but they got some work to do. And listen, they won the championship last year, so I'm not hating. Clearly they're good at what they do, but you would like to see them get to the rim more if you have such incredible. I mean, you basically go 5 out most of the time. They can't do that right now with Kate on the floor. No Kristaps tonight, but when you're a team that can go 5 out, you want to apply some more pressure to the rim. Yeah, Kenny said at the beginning of the season that spacing isn't just being 5 out. Vertical spacing really does matter. Like the pressure that you can provide on the rim, guys like Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, it's an inside out game at the end of the day. Ooh. When you can shoot like that, I understand. I guess there's a reason why they win the math game more often than not. I mean that's it right there. You got some of the best 3-point shooters on the planet. Jayson Tatum's a guy who's he's athletic enough. He's got the size to where he can basically shoot over anybody. It's really difficult to contain him to avoid giving up 3-pointers. And if you shoot enough of them, you're going to make a lot. So they've really mastered that. The thing that if I was a Celtics fan, what would concern me is that when you play the math game in the playoffs, it only takes a couple bad shooting nights for you to be in a really dire position. So as a Cavs fan, that's what I'm hoping for, right? You say, well, we catch the Celtics, it's 7-game series. Let's say they have 2 nights where they're not shooting the ball well. That's 2 games that should be winnable. You just got to find a way to win 2 others, right? So that's the way that you kind of justify and think in your head of like, what's the path towards the Cavs winning? Well, you play as good a defense as you can. You know the Celtics are going to jack up a bunch of threes. And if you catch them on a couple cold shooting nights, all of a sudden that door really starts to creep open. Now, obviously, you can't expect them to shoot poorly for 4 games out of 7. You have to assume that they're going to, they've proven that they can do it. They've proven that they can shoot and win the math game and win the title. But if you get 1 or 2, even just 2 bad shooting games, that opens up the door. So it's going to be fun, man. I can't wait for the playoffs. I'm really excited. So yeah, the Celtics, they have 9 losses already. Couldn't be the Cavs. Can't imagine losing 9 games. It's got to be tough. Every time I look at OKC's record, I'm surprised. Not surprised. I knew they'd be very good, but like they're not far behind Cleveland. I always think that we're high. I always think that the Cavs are farther ahead of OKC is what I mean. Every time I look at them, like, man, they're right on our tails. They're 27-5. They are right there. They've won 12 straight. Worry about the play. Yeah. That's fair. That's fair, cool guy. You get, you're the reigning champ, so you get to say that. But I also get to point out that you've already lost 9 games, and I just can't even imagine. We've only lost 4. You know, it's like that's 9 games. That must be brutal. All right, let's see what happens down the stretch. Can Minnesota continue? Right now, they're matching. Well, I think. Oh well, there's a steal. I think Boston took the lead in terms of the 3-point shooting, but they were tied at 18. I'm interested to see if Minnesota can keep. That was a really ugly shot. I'm interested to see if Minnesota can keep matching this firepower as we move down the stretch. You'd have to imagine that you're going to need something from Anthony Edwards here. See, he had Derek White beat on the baseline, and then he steps back. That's just tough. It ends in a 2 points, but still, that's a moment where you'd like to see Anthony Edwards just put his head down and get to the rim. It resulted in a good shot, though, so I'm not hating. Celtics going right back, getting the switch. All right, they send a double team at Tatum, getting the ball out of his hands. The problem with that and what makes Boston so difficult to contain is you send 2 at Tatum. Well, yeah, on the backside, you have Derek White catching it. And he's a guy who can create, he can pass, dribble, and shoot. So we saw right there, just attacks the closeout, easy mid range jumper. There's no easy solution against Boston. I almost think you just have to live one on one against Tatum, but he's got 30 something points. Really trying to get Julius Randle involved in the action. Here's the double again. Good patience from Tatum. Don't know where Naz Reid was going. That was bad. Really good patience from Tatum right there. If he panics, and tries to throw it to the opposite elbow, or if he picks up his dribble, that passing lane to Kata isn't open. But he keeps his dribble alive, accepts the double team, waits, draws him in. See it right here. Waits just long enough. Someone leaves Kata. No communication. Again, Minnesota, we saying it all night. Team chemistry is bad. Not on a string. Not connected on either end of the floor. And that's a backbreaker. You can't give up a wide open dunk down the stretch of a close game. Naz was really good last year, though. I do like Naz Reid a lot. Not sure whose fault that was there on the rotation. It's always hard to know. Like, I'd have to see a replay again, but looked like it was maybe Naz that time. But yeah, Naz was a lot of fun last year. The game he had against Cleveland was wild. He had 30 something points. I think he had 7 threes. Was going to get mad about doubling Tatum, but I remembered this is not the Cavs. Yeah. The Cavs did a really good job in the second game against Boston of letting Darius Garland play one-on-one against Tatum, but also sending in like smart double teams. Like they timed it really well. They were really aggressive with it. They got the ball out of his hands a couple times and then managed to rotate and recover. Minnesota, first double team was all right. That second one, obviously, they completely blew it on the backside. So trapping the ball, it's such an aggressive move. You have to be perfect if you're going to do it. I'm not sure if I love the decision to trap him right there, honestly, though. I feel like Minnesota's better off just trying to ride it out one-on-one because you just gave up 2 open looks off of it. Julius Randle. I don't know what he's shooting from the 3 of this game, but I think that's his 3rd or 4th 3. 5. He's at 5 of them. I can't even hate. Came in fully prepared to hate, but I can't. Al Horford. Timeless. Big Al. Timeless. His longevity really does need to be, he needs his flowers. It's wild that he's still playing at the level that he is. Is there a fight going on in the backcourt? What's going on? Tatum again. Oh, DiVincenzo got hit in the head, maybe? Hard to tell. He's processing the floor so well this game. Really straight from the start, too. I remember this game started off, I think the first points of the game for Boston was a driving kick from Tatum to Derek White. So he's just been on point all night. Still no Gobert. And that's what's tough is like you're paying Gobert all this money and you can't even close games with him a lot of times. We'll see. He could still end up being out there. There's 4 minutes left, but it's tough. Tough scenes in Minnesota. Fortunately, Anthony Edwards is still so young that you can, assuming that you manage to maintain and secure him long term, which isn't safe to assume in today's NBA, but because he's so young, you can have multiple iterations built around him. So even if this iteration of the Timberwolves isn't able to pan out, if you are Minnesota, you're telling yourself, all right, as long as we can keep Anthony Edwards as our centerpiece, we can restructure this some way. Yeah, Gobert Gobert didn't even play at the end of the Olympics, man. It's a tough scene for Rudy Gobert. Horford pet. I mean, like, not really, but also at the same time, kinda. Like, he kinda. I think you would rather have Al Horford. Like, I know Gobert's like, dude, he's like Gobert is so good on defense, but at the same time, if you're telling me it's the NBA Finals, who do I want starting at center, Rudy Gobert or Al Horford? Dude, I'm probably taking Al Horford. It's wild to say, but big shot from Anthony Edwards, too, keeping them in this. Ridiculous shooting from Minnesota. Horford is old reliable. You know what you're going to get from him. Deep three. Ooh. Kata fighting. All right, Minnesota manages to come up with it. Randle, the full head of steam, slows down. Open three in the corner. Nope. Good look, though. Yeah, there's a lot of contact there, Dan. No foul, though. Trying to get Julius Randle in the action. Keeps rejecting the screen. And Julius Randle almost came up with a steal there. Gave up an open three. I can't even blame Randle too much for gambling there because he really almost got that steal. But yeah, that's just again, I'm not going to blame him too much for that individual play, but it's what we've seen all year from Julius Randle and really for most of his career is just ill-advised decisions on defense. Ends up giving up a three-pointer at a very inconvenient time. Like looking at the replay, it honestly looked even worse because Derek White was facing him. I thought he tried to come from behind and steal it. And not a great reach right there. You'd rather just stay in defensive position and not not put yourself in a spot where you give up a wide open three. So yeah, Julius Randle, he can be tough to watch. I'm glad he's not on my favorite team. Talented player, but again, a decision like that, we've just seen it too often. Sending two to Anthony Edwards. He has had a rough night. Swing. All right, you got a good look there. Nice shot. It looked like Naz Reid rushed that almost. Like his release was so quick, but cashed it. Good ball movement right there. It was good defense from Boston. Minnesota just moved the ball very well. Yeah, Julius Randle's a good player. I'm not going to act like he's a scrub or anything, but I am glad that he's not on my favorite team. Yeah, let's see a replay on that. Oh, I don't know. I think there was a hook around. I think DiVincenzo was. Yeah, I agree, Dan. I'm surprised. Scalabrini was like, no, that was clean. Whoa, the bank shot. The bank is open. That's crazy. The bank shot. Hey, maybe he called it. I don't know. It's hard to know. If he's not mic'd up, we'll never know. Oh, brother. Oh, that is. Listen, I'm not a Minnesota fan, so I'm cooling, but that was embarrassing. Yikes. That's got to be game. I mean, let's see that you have this shot go in on one end. He hesitates, fading off the backboard, and then Anthony Edwards comes back. Basically gets the Olay defense. They just back off him like, I'm not going to foul him. He beat me off the dribble. I'm not going to foul him. Gets a little cute with the layup too. Like we didn't see a replay, but he put some like unnecessary spin. He like jellied it a little bit. Like, yeah, that was not good. Not good. Probably the game, in all honesty. And honestly, a very good way to summarize the Minnesota Timberwolves basketball experience this season. You get a wide open layup that turns into a deflating game ending moment. So I feel like I've been tough on Minnesota. They honestly they shot the ball really well tonight, but that's just like their season in a nutshell right there. Give up a banked in 3-pointer, and then you come down on the other end and smoke a layup. Naz Reid smoked a layup earlier this game too, if I'm remembering correctly. Send the double again. Derek White, he's hot. Nope. Should have tried to bank it in. I was going to say just relentless right there from Boston. The 3-point shooting. I mean, we all know it, but they just keep on generating open threes every possession. Didn't hit it that time, but got two really good looks. Desperation time for Minnesota. And too little, too late, I'm thinking. Gonna have to get a steal if you're Minnesota. Another open three. And he gets the offensive rebound. Yeah, 38 years young. Nope. To no surprise, another 3-point attempt. Did they take 63 pointers in this game? They were basically at 50 to start the fourth quarter. Did they end up taking 60? This is I mean, it's not that unusual for them, but it is crazy. Cool guy. Before the game ends, how are you feeling about Kristaps? Are you worried? Are you worried about his health, his availability? I saw it was a trending topic on Celtics Twitter talking about potentially trading him. Personally, I wouldn't trade him, but I do understand the concerns with the availability. Uh, Celtics obviously have more inside information on his health than we do. So if they get like the sense that, hey, this dude's probably not going to be available, like it might be better to cut our loss now than I see it. But from the outside looking in, I'm probably just rolling the dice because when Kristaps is healthy, and that's a big if, but when he is healthy, you guys become unbeatable, right? Like you guys go from the favorites to like the clear favorites, in my opinion, if Kristaps is healthy and on the court. Ain't just running the first Garland game back, just didn't empty the clip. Just a weird team around him, though. Yeah, I agree. This team is not built the way that you would want it built around a talent like Anthony Edwards. There's no floor spacing. They shot the ball great tonight, so it sounds funny to say that after this, but there's no space for him to operate. They need another ball handler. They need another like connective ball handler because Julius Randle's a ball handler and he can create plays for others, but he's not really a playmaker. It's more isolation, more taking you out of the rhythm of your offense. I think Mike Conley regressing the way that he has hurt them quite a lot. Rob Dillingham, he's hurt tonight. He hasn't been able to play. He's just a rookie. Maybe he'll be able to fill that role moving forward. I think Jaden McDaniels not really taking another step forward has contributed to their ceiling not being as high as you would have hoped last year. Kristaps gets hurt too much. One game he's playing, the next game, yeah. I mean, it's back and forth constantly. Didn't even really play. He didn't play in the playoffs until like the end of the Cavs series, right? So I understand if I'm Boston, I would be concerned about Kristaps' availability, and if I'm the Cavs, that's another thing that I'm looking at and thinking, they're vulnerable. Yeah, I agree, old kid. He's too good to be six man. He's not good enough to be your number one or two. Oh yeah, let's get cool guy on here real quick. All right, I'm accepting it. Let's talk some Kristaps Porzingis real quick. Get a Celtics fan inside info. I hit accept to your invite. I don't know if it brought you on stage. I don't see you. Let me try sending you one. Okay, yeah. Yeah, Julius Randle does fall into that category of like he's too good, but he's not quite good enough. I'll be honest with you. I was reading the chat. I didn't even realize that it was a 3-point possession. Where did that happen? I wasn't even paying attention. I was thinking Kristaps and reading the chat. I have no idea what happened right there. And this is what he did against Darius Garland in our Cavs game too. He kind of settled for that fade away in the mid range instead of trying to get all the way to the basket. Alexander Walker, much more capable defender than Darius Garland. So like it's more difficult to get to the rim. But yeah, they could use a floor spacing big like Karl Anthony Towns. Like if you're gonna play Rudy Gobert, who's a very traditional non-scoring big, you kind of need like a Karl Anthony Towns next to him. So it's very unfortunate for them that they gave away like the main guy who fits next to Rudy Gobert. All right. So are they going to foul up three? There's only 3 seconds left. So that gets really difficult to do because you don't want to risk sending them to the free throw line. Yeah, no, good point, old kid, too. Because like if you try to compare it to the Cavs situation, like Jared Allen, I'm trying to think about the right way to say this, but I mean, if you compare him to Rudy Gobert offensively, Jared Allen is like a legit offensive threat. I mean, Jared Allen can put the ball on the floor and get to the rim and get some buckets. We saw it last year when he had to do those things that he did. The playmaking started to pop. He has really good hands too. Like Rudy Gobert can't catch a pass to save his life, can't catch a lob. Jared Allen can do all that stuff. Jared Allen's like a very underrated offensive player. He's limited. Don't get me wrong, he's limited, but he's a very good offensive player. And Rudy Gobert is just like, I mean, he's just so awkward, fumbling the ball, can't fit. Like, I know he shoots a high percentage, but like some of the looks that he misses are just so ugly and unbelievable. Can't make a layup. Yeah. It's like you get the ball. If you get Jared Allen the ball in the restricted area, it's almost a guaranteed bucket. I don't feel that way when Rudy Gobert catches it in the paint. Oh, wow. I mean, it was a difficult shot, but not a horrible look. He managed to avoid getting fouled, got a clean look at it. Great game. All right, we got cool guy on here. Get his take on Kristaps Porzingis real quick. Your mic is muted. What's going on, man?
Not much. Apart from this game, I guess that I was kind of scared that this shot was going. I'm not gonna lie.
They got a clean look, dude. I mean, it's a tough shot because he's fading, but a pretty clean look.
It wasn't really his game today, so I mean, I kind of get it. He's not gonna make it. So
yeah, he's been off. Boston did a great job against him. Good game overall.
A really good game. Oh, apart from the ending, just giving them open looks and whatnot. Just I don't know. Just
yeah,
kind of
let them back
frustrating.
into the game. yeah, it felt like it was over at the 2-minute mark. I don't even know how Minnesota fought back.
But about Porzingis, because he's in and out like a lot nowadays. Because I was really expecting, okay, maybe this season he's healthy, but then not even long after I think the playoffs ended, then he's out like the first I think
he had that surgery.
Yeah, and then he came back, and now he's out again, and it's just like a cycle. I don't think it's gonna stop. It's just like his frame and his height is like. It's just kind of going to continue being that way unless he just trains or whatever the hell Wemby does to stay healthy, something like that.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. That bigs like that of that build and the way he plays, it's tough to stay healthy.
But it's the fact that when he's healthy and you put him at the 5 along what we already have, then it's almost like
it's a cheat code.
Yeah, pretty much a cheat code, and it's like there's not many teams that can beat us in a 7-game series with a fully healthy Porzingis. But it's the fact that he's just like very rarely ever like fully healthy.
Yeah. I mean that's it right there. That's what makes it such a tough decision because, I mean, you said it, dude. You guys are literally a cheat code when he's healthy. You could just have him stand above the break. He doesn't even have to stand in the corner. He can stand at the logo, and if you leave him open, he's drilling it. And not only that, but like he's a really good post player too. He's not just, stand on the 3-point line. You get a mismatch on him, you put him in the post, he's abusing it. So when he's healthy and available, you guys become almost unbeatable.
I think it would have beat the Mavericks regardless, but I remember, I don't know if it was game 1 or game 2 where he came back and he was just absolutely like cooking. I don't know if it was Gafford or if it was Gafford or Lively in the paint. And he was just like from 3, like step back threes and everything. It was just absolutely crazy, just doing everything. But
he's a wild player.
It's just like, how consistently are you going to get that? And I think we probably would have won regardless. But then now it's like more of a threat. And if anything, if Celtics go to the finals, it's not going to be Mavs that we're meeting. So kind of want that, kind of need Porzingis to be healthy, So I don't know. Yeah, but I don't think it's like, we're going to trade him at the deadline or anything. I don't think it's at that point yet because we're still second. So I mean, there's like, we're still winning without him. So
yeah. I'd imagine that's a conversation that you could seriously have like in the summer, maybe. Doesn't really make sense to trade him at the deadline. I don't think. I think you're just punting
flag or something, maybe. But
you're basically punting on 3rd down at that point. It's like if he's healthy, you win you're the favorites to win the championship if he's healthy by a pretty, not a super wide margin, but like. I mean, it helps quite a lot.
Well,
so
I gotta see a 7-game series with OKC and the Celtics to really judge. But then again, that's like assuming Chet is healthy. Kind of want to see that matchup.
Yeah, you have to assume that as well. I do think the Cavs match up well with you guys, even with Kristaps healthy. But I would pick Boston to beat us. But I think the Cavs have a fighter's chance. But of course, it gets way easier if Kristaps isn't out there.
I think you can maybe say this for both teams, but especially for you guys, I think you probably like bank on like winning games in Boston more than, because really you'd have to be at your A game, and you can't afford to have Mitchell carrying. Excuse me, I know this is a cap space, but Mitchell carrying you guys like for a whole half against like the Magic. You can't. You're not going to be able to afford.
Yeah. Yeah. Last year in the playoffs, I mean, we beat Orlando because Donovan Mitchell put the team on his back on one leg and just dominated. And then, you got some timely moments here and there but basically it was Donovan Mitchell carrying the team. I think this season as a Cavs fan, what's encouraging is that, Donovan Mitchell's still the number 1 guy, but Darius Garland looks like an all-star. Evan Mobley is an all-star. Like, everyone's stepping up. The bench has looked much better. So it's going to be interesting.
Well, I would I would hope it's interesting, but obviously, if whoever we can sweep, I hope we sweep. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. Oh, of course. I feel the same way, man. I would be thrilled if we swept you guys, but
Yeah, maybe Tatum
we're gonna
breaks
have
his
to wait
leg
and
or
see.
something. Otherwise,
Yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see.
yeah.
But I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up because I'm pretty tired. But thank you for coming on the stage. Thank you for being in the chat. It was good to see you again. It was good to see everyone who was in the chat today. I'm glad to be back after recovering from that illness. Hopefully, no more. Knock on wood, no more illnesses. We'll get a bunch of good Cavs streams and some other NBA streams. And yeah, hope everyone has a good night and go Cavs.